This wooden figure, the Belvedere's oldest piece, is a Romanesque four-nail crucifixion. Christ, crowned and serene, symbolizes triumph over death. By the 13th century, such depictions shifted to emphasize his agony, inspiring empathy in worshippers. St. John the Evangelist in sandstone. The Virgin enthroned with child, or seat of wisdom, was popular in both the Romanesque and Gothic periods. The earlier sculpture is more simplistic, with vague features and straight-ahead gazes. While the later one, made a century later, is more detailed, lively, and human. Bust of Christ in lime sandstone. Mary is the name of the Virgin Mary, while Madonna specifically refers to artistic representations of her, especially in the context of her role as the mother of Jesus. The Nativity is the story of Jesus' birth, celebrated at Christmas, featuring Mary, Joseph, Jesus, angels, shepherds, and the wise men in a manger. Diptych with scenes from the Passion. The Passion refers to Jesus' suffering, death, and resurrection, especially his crucifixion. Saint Catherine of Siena was a 14th century mystic and theologian. The mystical marriage refers to her vision of being spiritually united with Christ, symbolizing her deep devotion. This life-sized Madonna features graceful curves and soft drapery, foreshadowing the beautiful Madonnas of the 1400s. The rejection of the offering of Joachim and Anne. Joachim and Anne, unable to have children, were rejected by the high priest when Joachim offered a sacrifice. After praying for a child, an angel promised and she would conceive Mary, the mother of Jesus. Kneeling before the Madonna and Christ child is Johannes Hinderkircher, a 15th century canon and provost of Gurt Cathedral. The Annunciation to Joachim. In the Middle Ages, Gothic stained glass windows symbolized the divine, featuring biblical scenes and saints, and were a key artistic form before panel painting rose in importance. St. Peter was one of Jesus' 12 apostles and the first pope. A former fisherman, he spread Christianity and was martyred in Rome. He is often depicted holding keys, symbolizing his role in the kingdom of heaven. Christ on the cross with saints. In the 15th century, many churches had altarpieces with wings that opened to reveal detailed Christian scenes, displayed on special occasions. The baptism of Christ is when Jesus was baptized by John the Baptist in the Jordan River, marking the start of his public ministry. It symbolizes Jesus' humility and God's declaration of him as his son. The entry into Jerusalem is when Jesus rode into the city on a donkey, welcomed by crowds with palm branches, symbolizing his peaceful arrival as the Messiah. The agony in the garden is when Jesus prayed in Gethsemane, feeling deep sorrow and anguish before his arrest, seeking strength and submitting to God's will. The arrest of Christ refers to the moment when Jesus was captured by soldiers in the Garden of Gethsemane, following his betrayal by Judas. This event led to his trial and crucifixion. The purification of the temple is when Jesus drove out merchants and money changers, condemning the corruption in the temple and calling for spiritual purity. The Last Supper is Jesus' final meal with his disciples, where he instituted Holy Communion and foretold his betrayal by Judas. Christ before Pilate is when Jesus was tried by Governor Pilate, who, despite finding no fault, sentenced him to crucifixion under crowd pressure. The flagellation of Christ refers to the event where Jesus was severely whipped by Roman soldiers before his crucifixion, as part of his suffering and punishment. Interior view of the altarpieces. The carrying of the cross. The crucifixion. Late Gothic altarpieces often had deep central shrines with carved figures, while the Znaim altarpiece features a relief of the crucifixion. This three-dimensional effect enhances realism, highlighted by its well-preserved polychromy. The deposition dot from the cross. Saint Christopher is the patron saint of travelers, often depicted carrying the Christ child. Saint James the Greater was one of Jesus' 12 apostles and the brother of Saint John. He is known for being part of Jesus' inner circle. The death of the Virgin. Saint Gregory, or Pope Gregory I, was pope from 590 to 604. He is known for church reforms, spreading Christianity, and contributions to Western liturgy. Saint Agatha was a Christian martyr known for her faith and endurance under persecution. She is the patron saint of breast cancer patients and nurses. The painting shows Christ's crucifixion with Mary and Saint Paul and honors the donor, Jodocke Hauser, who died in 1478. Commissioned to memorialize him, it was completed by Hans Siebenberger in 1479. The Adoration of the Magi depicts the three wise men offering gifts to the infant Jesus, symbolizing his recognition as king. The Lamentation of Christ. The flight into Egypt, as described in the Gospel of Matthew, was when Mary, Joseph, and Jesus fled to Egypt to escape King Herod's massacre of infants. It fulfilled the prophecy, "Out of Egypt I called my son," ensuring Jesus' safety. Mary in the dress with wheat ears with the donor Benedict Eck of Mondsee. Saint Peter. The presentation of the Virgin in the temple is when Mary was brought to the temple in Jerusalem by her parents, Saints Joachim and Anne, to be consecrated to God. The visitation is when Mary visited her cousin Elizabeth, who, pregnant with John the Baptist, recognized Mary's pregnancy with Jesus. In this work, Adam gently embraces Eve, who offers him the forbidden fruit, while on the right, they are expelled from paradise. Likely created as a small cabinet piece, it reflects the early Renaissance focus on artistic quality, with intricately carved figures. From the early 16th century, new artistic styles emerged, blending with the Gothic tradition. This small altarpiece combines Renaissance architectural details with late medieval design, and may have originally been dedicated to St. Catherine, as suggested by a recently identified shrine sculpture likely holding a sword.